Hi guys, welcome to Blair's Bootcamp, and this is perfecting your push-up. Now in this video we're going to look at your technique, your form, and how you can evolve your push-up. So if you're a beginner starting off on your knees and you're not sure how to progress to make it harder, I'll show you all the progressions that you can go through to make it harder, so you build a better, stronger form and you're able to do more push-ups and better push-ups, because that's what we're after. It's the quality we want rather than quantity. Once we get the quality will come. So a few things we want to talk about. There's three things you want to remember when you're doing a push-up. First one is your hand and elbow placement. The second is your range of motion. And thirdly, you really want to be looking at bracing those hips and your core. So keeping that tabletop sort of level in your back. So let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about number one. So if we look at my hand placement, I'm just going to move this out a bit. My hand placement, when I put it on the floor, should be in line with my chest, underneath my chest. So if I put just a cat position here on all fours, I'll see my hands are underneath my chest, basically sitting just my shoulders, just sitting underneath my shoulders, just there. And you can see my back is flat. Obviously I'm on my knees at this point. Now also, my elbows. When I come into this push position, the positions that I want my elbow to go are backwards. I want to send my elbows to the back of the room. I want to either keep them tucked into my chest, to the side of my chest, or out at 45 degrees to my chest. That's as far as I want, at 45 degrees. You don't want to go any further than that. If you go further than that, you end up having shoulder impingement, hurting your shoulder, and you're not actually focusing the workout on your chest and your arms, which is what you do a push-up for. It's a great compound movement which builds your core, your chest, your back, and your arms. So we really want to focus on those workouts rather than trying to hurt ourselves by doing too many and altering our form. So that's the first section, our hands underneath our chest. Now, the next thing is range of motion. Now what do I mean by range of motion? I mean to get as far down to the ground as possible. I want to get as far down, my chest as close to the ground as possible, and then fully up. I think the best way I can kind of explain this is a foot pump analogy. I'm sure you've all used a foot pump before, if not a bit old school. So a foot pump, if I'm blowing up an air mattress or an inflatable, anything, and I'm using a foot pump, I try and push my foot all the way down to the ground, press it down, and fully back up. It's more efficient to do so because I get more in and I'm not exerting myself. I've got better control over the airflow. So if I just do it quickly up and down, I'm not really filling the bed up as efficiently as I could, and it ends up I take longer to fill the bed up. I suppose that's the best analogy I can do. And the same thing happens with a push-up. That even if you're going up and down and not got a great range of motion, if you're limiting your range of motion, it's going to take so much longer to see results from that exercise. So it's best to start from the basics and get that range of motion and build it up, because you'll get a stronger you. So let me show you. First of all, hand in position underneath my chest, elbows are going back. I'm going to start on my knees for this beginner. I'm going to show you. So if you're brand new to push-up, start on your knees, just knees together, just slightly apart. Bring yourself over your hands. My elbows, my core is braced. So that's number 3. Core is braced, elbows back, which means I've got that tabletop feeling. I'm going to bring myself down to the ground. Elbows are going back. See, I've still got that tabletop position. I'm basically touching the ground. My nose is on the ground. That's the full range of motion. And then up we go. Down to the ground, nose to the ground, and up. And I'm not altering my form on the way up, on the way down. I've got that slow control. I know exactly where I'm going to and where I'm coming up to. That's what you won't be thinking about when you come into a push-up. So if you're used to doing it on your knees, and you're struggling to get into your normal push-up position, come up into that push-up position, hands just outside your shoulders, underneath your chest, so in line with your chest. Put your feet up into that plank position, get your core braced, and just slowly bring yourself down to the ground. Your elbows are going backwards, tucked in, and just bring yourself all the way to the ground and rest on the ground. Now you can either try and get up from the ground from here and push up, or just push yourself back up and come back into this position. Get used to that feeling of slowly bringing yourself down to the ground. That negative motion of fighting off gravity, using your muscles to just gradually bring yourself to the ground. It's going to make you stronger, and it's going to build up your resistance to that force and able to make you better at doing a push-up. Not the best English, not the best I'm going to do at this moment. So I'm going to come in that position again. So if you're doing this with me, feet shoulder width apart, hands underneath your chest, your elbows are going to go back. They're just outside your shoulders, and you're going to push your elbows backwards. 45 degrees to your body, and bring your body to the ground. Now you're going to try and push up from the ground, but you're going to go straight up. You're not going to push back, your hands are still going to be underneath your chest, and you're going to slowly push yourself up. And you're up. Good. It's better to do that. Now if you're absolutely shattered after doing one of those, take a rest. Take 30 seconds, control yourself, calm your breathing, and go back in and do it again. It's best that you do 10 slow and build up your resistance, your tolerance to these before you go in and try and do ones with limited range of motion. So if you're perfecting it, that's how you do it. A couple of things when you think about, if you're already used to a push-up and you've got your range of motion, there's a couple of things you want to think about. The wider you put your hands, the more chest dominant the push-up becomes, and the closer in your hands become, the more your triceps become more dominant. Now you're still working your chest, but your triceps start working. So wide push-ups, if you're doing those, same, your hand position's in the same place, but you're coming all the way to the ground and you're working the chest. Your arms don't really, your triceps don't really get that much of a workout. But if you come to that diamond shape push-up, your hands are still in the same place, your elbows are tucked in to your sides, they're like glued in here, really limited. They can't go out, they're always stuck into the side. They're really going to burn those triceps, but they're also a great chest builder as well. So you're working, it's the best of both worlds, but they're quite difficult. So if you're doing those and you find it difficult, start in that position. And the same with any push-up. Slowly lower yourself to the ground if you're struggling, and then come back up. Rest on the ground and come back up. Obviously, if you're still on your knees or you still find that difficult, then stay on your knees and figure out how you're going to do it from there. You know your own body and you know how you want to feel. So I'm going to show you that push-up again. You're going to come up, your feet just slightly apart, hands just outside your shoulders, your elbows are going to go backwards towards the back of the room, and you're going to lower yourself to the ground. Now my core is braced, my bum is braced, looking at the ground, my neck isn't jutting out towards the ground. Come to the ground, and then I push myself back up while keeping that core braced. Good, slowly to the ground. Keep your neck in line with your spine. Good. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been your push-up tutorial. If you've got any questions, you know where I am. But until then, lots of love.